Hello and welcome back to a special TV episode of Strangers in the Alps, the slasher podcast.
I'm Dan.
I'm the last of Travis.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Frank.
And we are Strangers in the Alps, a slasher podcast. And this is a TV minisode chronicling The Last of Us, episodes 4 to 6.
Wait a minute, is this a Strangers in the Alps TV minisode?
Yes, it is, covering episodes 4 to 6
Of
The Last of Us.
Yay.
Covering episodes 4 to 6.
From Home Box Office.
In a minisode.
In Home Box Office.
Sam is just looking at everyone
Max.
judging.
I'm just so uncomfortable how close we are.
I want to tell a quick story.
Okay.
Is it
Because the
because I'm
reason
right in
why
front
we're
of your
so
face?
close, and it's not just because we like each other. We are physically close to each other because we have gotten new mics. Yay, let's hear it for Frank.
What?
The old Mike was a jerk.
I
The mics
did
actually we didn't get new
Ta-da.
mics. We got new mic apparati. Our apparatus before.
You should get that checked out.
I understand there's a
It's
shot you can
inflamed.
get.
What
The
if I just,
apparatus we used
oh
before
my gosh,
was
I can just hold it. and
screwed. It tightened on the edge of the table.
Oh my gosh.
It had a big arm and a spring, and it kept falling and hitting
Travis.
Travis's privates.
I had to hold the last one on my lap.
That's what
the
she
Last
said.
of Us.
The last of...
It was. It might have been. Now with this
So-
one, Dan went outside with a fire axe, cut down some trees, and built us new stands.
That's right, I did. And I have Frank to thank for letting me borrow his axe.
If you're being
Yes.
frank.
Frank to think.
His bloody axe.
Frank the thing.
Frank the Tank Thank.
So here we are. We have new microphone apparati, but Sam is holding it in her lap. This is so
uncomfortable.
disappointing.
This is how uncomfortable I am.
This is. You look like you're holding a baby.
Speaking of
Practice.
uncomfortable, so since we talked about episodes 1 through 3, yesterday I was like, you know what? Remember I brought up I was gonna start playing the game. So yesterday I sit down. So actually it was perfect because it started from episode 4. I started playing when Henry and Sam came in. So episode So episode 4, 5. Well, 5. It was kind of. I'll get into it. I went from there and I ended up beating the entire game.
Oh, you're done?
So yesterday it was a very emotional day because
Yeah.
we all know with Frank.
Well, it was
with-
President's Day. I
with-
know.
Yeah, with Henry and Sam, and then beating the game, then watching 3 episodes of the show.
You were reliving it?
I was living the show. I couldn't get away. So like, and then I'm in my kitchen in the cabin, and I start hearing this.
You did not. in real life?
Yeah.
Hold it up to the mic. For what?
And then I looked, and it was just my stomach because I was hungry.
You're so stupid.
I like when you...
Boy, that was a lot of work and special
I
effects
just
for
made
that
that. I
joke.
just made up that last because Sam. I felt bad. She was like, "Really?" I was like, "I don't know where I'm going with this." You
Okay.
know, I just start talking.
Okay, so are we
Stop
talking about
talking.
episode 4, 5, and 6?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the ones
Do
with
we-
Hank and Sam.
Oh,
I think I should-
that's a special episode.
Henry.
Do we need
Henry
to
Hank.
do we need to lay this out in some way, or do we
Yeah,
assume everybody's listening to this is also watching it?
I hope so, but if
Okay,
they
then-
don't, let's just say this. So, I don't think we covered what happened in the first 3 episodes, but in broad strokes, Joel picks up a girl named Ellie, takes her on a mission because she's immune to the virus, the zombie virus.
Mm-hmm.
And
To the Fireflies.
to the Fireflies, yes, who are this group of revolutionary people who want to free whatever's left of humanity from the oppression of Fedra, the government that is now in control of the U.S.
There we go.
So episodes 4 through 6 continue along that. So they lost Tess's
Tess.
partner, Tess.
Tess's partner,
Joel's
Tess.
partner.
Joel's partner, Tess, in a infected incident.
Yeah, she's gonna become a clicker.
Her,
Yeah.
her
She-
apparatus got infected.
She almost became a clicker, but then
Damn.
she made out with an
A
infected.
mushroom.
Yeah. and then she blew up.
That was
Would
not
you say it
that
was an
oh, that's
infected-
right.
and then she
up
blew
the whole
herself
place.
up.
She blew up the museum.
Yeah, but in these episodes, we go through a sort of little side quest. There's a
Bill and Frank.
Bill and Frank. Bill and Frank was.
No, that was episode 3.
Let's not revisit that. I'm
I
still,
thought
no,
we were
I'm still
recapping.
We're
torn.
moving
No, 4 to
forward.
6.
Yeah.
So let's just start with 4.
Can I just jump in at the top of episode 4?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Here's the first thing that I thought, did you guys, or am I the only one that really got a real sort of Mad Max vibe to episode 4, like at the front end? I started really feeling like, that futuristic, there's nothing left. Maybe it's because, the transportation element was so powerful, the idea of how you get gas, it all felt very
siphoning.
like we're into this sort of like Mad Max. And I don't mean that in as a comparison in an insulting way. I mean, this show is very original in its own way. But
I liked though how they were like, oh, we have to get gas every hour, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, because every post-apocalyptic movie you watch now, they get a little bit of gas. They're driving around.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, the apocalypse was 50 years ago.
This is realistic.
And they're getting gas from gas stations.
Right.
So I thought that was cool. And actually, what I thought was funny too is the whole when Ellie and Joel are sitting in the car and she pulls out the magazine. That was
love
actually
that.
that whole scene dialogue too was lifted straight from the game as well.
really?
Yeah, because the whole gas station opening, that was not in the game. I don't know if I want to. I think it might take too long. I don't know if you want me to go through everything we talk about and tell you how it was different in the game.
Because he will.
I
Because he
will.
knows things.
If you can do it with brevity, that would
I
be
can
okay.
tell you-
But
well,
I don't
I'll
think
just
you
tell
do
you-
anything with brevity.
I'll just tell you
so-
major plot points of how they're a little different. But like I can say, going into episode 4, Kathleen was not in the game.
Oh wow.
That
she
is
is alluded to though in notes, but they don't touch that
yeah,
at all.
They don't.
So
and-
was there an equivalent to Kathleen in the
no.
game?
No,
So, and-
there's an unnamed. Sorry, Travis, you go.
Is it because Kathleen was still doing 2.5 Men?
I
That's
thought you
where
was like, that's
she's
Rose.
from.
I was like, that's Rose.
Do you know how hard it was for me? You think getting Monica into Gail Weathers was
Oh
hard?
no.
I was watching
No.
First of all, she's a wonderful.
I don't want to watch that movie.
Melanie Linsky is a wonderful actress.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me longer to figure out who she was. And then once I figured it out, I screamed out of the bedroom. I was watching in my bedroom, and Joni was down in the kitchen. I said, "Hey, Charlie's next door neighbor's on The Last of Us."
I thought you were gonna say Rose, and I thought Joni was gonna be like, "You're watching Titanic again."
Oh, I did see. Okay, I saw Titanic in theaters a couple days ago. Still,
Really? Where?
It's playing everywhere.
at Burbank.
Yeah,
in
wait.
3D.
Wait
But
a
it's
minute.
in 3D.
We're stuck in a cabin in the Alps. When did you sneak off and see a movie?
He had
I-
the 3D VHS.
I walked.
A self-care day.
Yeah, I walked. I
Very
needed
nice.
it.
It was
Still
Save
just as emotional and still just as magnetic as
But the
the
3D,
first time I
that
saw it.
doesn't throw you off. That's the
No.
only reason why I'm not watching it.
No,
Yeah, that
honestly,
would bother me, I
Yeah.
think.
It wasn't distracting.
I don't need ice floating
Well,
towards
no,
me.
see, that's the thing they did is because the way they did it was they just added a lot of depth to the background. So
Yeah.
the foreground is good. But anyways, getting
Oh,
into
speaking of Melanie Linsky,
Melanie Linsky, yes, wonderful actress.
she's gone really far from when I first saw her. I saw her in this TV miniseries called Rose Red. It was a Stephen King thing.
Yes.
Oh,
That
wow.
was like 20 years ago, no?
Oh, she wasn't
Was-
good.
Yeah.
Or
I
it was
didn't-
bad, or she was bad, or it was bad.
Both. I do enjoy it as like campy, like early 2000s, like fluff. But yeah, she's come a long way. I
yeah.
actually really liked her in this.
Yeah, I just think she's really cool. There's something about her I can't quite put my finger on.
Did
but
you know
I find
she's
her,
Aussie?
I was
I
just going to
did-
say
she's what?
that.
Sorry.
She's
no,
what?
no, she's Australian.
Oh,
Because you
that-
know how
Aussie.
at the end of every
that's
episode,
nice.
yeah, at the end of every episode they have like a behind the scenes thing, and she was talking. I'm like, wait a second, who are you?
so Joel and Ellie are in
KC.
they're in Kansas
Well,
City,
they were
which was Pittsburgh.
Traveling, in
It's
episode 4, they're
Pittsburgh in the
traveling
game.
to Kansas City, the front end of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're spending some time getting to know them. She's doing her joke book, doing jokes.
Her punny jokes.
And the only reason I'm backing up, I'm sorry, Travis, is because I love the care that this show takes in developing relationships, particularly with Ellie and Joel, but everything. The relationship in episode 3, and as we're going to be talking, coming up with some other relationships. But I really like that. It's just.
It takes its time.
I know it's based on a video game, but credit to the producers and writers of this show, it does not feel, for me, at all like a video game.
No.
So I really enjoy that. And I'm also very surprised at how much time this, not how much time, but how often, not often, I can't talk right now. I'm also surprised by not the casual, but just the way as they develop these relationships, we get away from action, we get away from the clickers and all that crazy, scary stuff, and it's totally okay.
You just focus on the
It's like
characters.
super fine with me. I sometimes an episode I go, wow.
Sometimes
That
I
was
forget.
yeah.
I forget there's
and
a
you
zombie
really get
show.
wrapped up into the journey
Yeah.
of these characters. It's so well done.
Going back to this is another show too, and that was a big issue, and that's why I kind of fell out of The Walking Dead, was because at certain points I'm like, all right, maybe an episode you'll see one zombie, but that's the thing. I was like, there's just too much talking. I was calling it The Talking Dead. Not much going on, but in this one, The Last of Us, I agree with Dan. I was just like, no, keep talking.
Yeah.
I want to hear what's yeah. And even the game does a really good job at that too, because like between areas you're just walking with Ellie or traveling and your characters talk. Like a lot of the conversations are lifted like right from the game.
Even the joke book stuff.
Yeah, even the joke
I love the joke book stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got to play this game.
You just might.
Yeah.
We just might make some
We just
content
might
based
do
on
Yeah,
that.
so they get to Kansas City.
Sorry, I'm just smelling.
And
What?
what
I'm
happens at
smelling. No, I'm smelling this because it smells like plastic. Sorry.
what happens at Kansas City? The wood tastes like plastic. I mean, it smells like plastic.
In Kansas City,
Just,
they get.
just for context, folks, Sam is sniffing the new microphone shield, and she's getting high.
You can smell it. It smells like plastic. Sorry.
It's okay. But in Kansas City, they get ambushed by raiders. In the game, they're called hunters, but
Yeah.
here they're raiders that work with Kathleen, the leader of the resistance in Kansas City. So in Kansas City, there was a Fedra QZ, which was full of corrupt Fedra officers. They did things for 20 years, horrible things to the populace, and so they rose up with Kathleen's help or leadership and overthrew Fedra. And so now it's kind of like a free-for-all. Anybody who passes by likely to get, ambushed. And Joel and Ellie do. They lose the car that they got at Bill's. And this was one of the first things that popped out at me that was kind of video gamey, and I guess you won't notice it because you haven't played the games yet, but the ambush is very much
He was talking to
like-
me, by the way.
yeah, I was talking to Dan. It was very much like a video game. The background noises of the enemies like yelling at you, that's straight from the game. I think even down to the actual dialogue.
Oh wow.
The way that they call out to each other, that's a part of the game too. If you kill someone who's part of a group, the rest of them, if they find the body, they'll yell out, hey, they got so-and-so, and they'll double their efforts to find you. Not entirely related to this specific episode, but in part 2, there's also dogs are a part of the game as potential enemies. And if you kill one,
No.
you
That's two though.
yeah,
That's
you
game,
but
that's
you
Last
can
of Us
beat
Part
the game
2.
without killing a dog. But if you do,
There are extra points. If
no,
you,
no,
oh.
if you do, they will make a point of making you feel like shit about it.
Oh, good.
The owner will like mourn the dog very
Aw.
loudly and call its name, and you'll hear all that. So
No.
And it's the other way around too, because each dog has a handler.
Yeah.
So if the handler dies,
The dog howls.
yeah.
yeah,
Aw.
so down to the DNA of the games, it's very much about interpersonal connection, and
Damn.
how that is affected by violence.
Yeah.
But the death of Brian, the first time that Ellie really gets in on the action, I thought that was kind of horrible.
In what way?
In like a yelling out loud for his mom in his last moments kind of way.
Yeah.
That was kind of intense. That's
Yeah.
not in the game
So my
either.
mom's near me.
Yeah.
Or
That
something
was,
like that.
was, yes. But I always really like it when, that's a terrible thing to say.
When they get
I
shot
always
in the
find
butt.
it very, very dramatic and interesting when you see somebody get shot, when you see somebody dying or pleading for their life in a way that's not like your typical action sort of movie way, where you actually kind of get to like, oh yeah, this is what it would be. This is what it's really like.
Yeah. It's dirty. It's not sanitized.
Right.
Same thing. I just said the same thing.
Okay, Travis.
Very nice. Very nice. It also sets up episode 4 sets up this incredible this Henry and Sam, these characters that Kathleen is like fixated on, that she has to get Henry, because as we find out later, Henry was responsible for her brother's death.
Mm-hmm. The former leader of the resistance.
Right.
Wait, I have a quick question. What's the difference between Kathleen Singh and then Fireflies?
The Fireflies are more like, I guess, not global, but they're nationwide. They run the operation all over. Kathleen was more of like we're just trying to free our QZ.
Gotcha.
Yeah, kind of like the comparison to episode 6, the Jackson commune. But the Fireflies are also, I felt like that it's a kind of a science. There's science there too, right? There must be scientists or something.
Yeah. They
tied into them.
They've raided several laboratories throughout the country just to gain their supplies. Like, they're actively looking for a cure.
Which we saw in episode 6.
Right.
Yes.
I like the monkeys.
Okay, let's just go. Let's
Yeah.
move
Well,
to
so out of
episode 5.
context,
We're
I
kind
like
of
the
we're kind
monkeys.
of in episode 5 now. I mean, we're kind of rolling.
So
in.
Yeah.
well, that's the episode 4 is mostly built build up, setup.
And like
For
we said,
5,
a lot of that build up for 4. Like I said, I like it. It's added to the show. It's not in the game. Like, Kathleen's not in there. Well, first of all, too, you're in Pittsburgh, and it wasn't a town that is now like liberated, which is I like, because so when you're playing the game and you're just raiders in the town, so it's kind of almost like a shooting gallery. They're just popping out and you're shooting them. So I kind of like that they added Kathleen in this whole backstory now, because in the game it works. Because in the game, you're playing as Joel, so you feel like you're in this moment of survival. But I'm like, I feel like if they keep doing that like too much in the show, it's like, oh, this person popped out. This person popped out. I feel like adding like a story.
Kathleen's like an anchor.
Kathleen, it's an anchor, and it's a good adaptation.
Yeah.
It adds.
Yeah.
And then even going to that too. Well, I don't know if we want to go into 5 now.
Yeah, we're going to 5 now.
Going
We
into
are in
5.
5,
Well,
yes.
that's the big thing too, is that in the game, Hank and Sam.
Henry.
Why do I keep saying Hank?
That boy ain't right.
Yeah, I keep thinking of King of the Hill every time. Henry and Sam don't have a backstory. They kind of just show up.
Right. I read that actually.
Yeah, they kind of just show up, and Sam isn't deaf.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I kind of like that they added, because I think they talk about it too in the little behind the scenes, is it kind of makes it, okay, well, that's why Sam is so reliant on Henry now.
Yeah. Sam's the little brother.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you say, I don't want to keep backing up. I want to go forward. But you'd say, well, they've liberated the town. You're right. They liberated them away from the Federals. But they're just as nasty.
Oh,
and
I
just
don't mean
as
it's.
bad.
I don't
so
mean
there's
it's.
nothing is better. It's just one evil took place of another
Well,
evil.
that's what it-
that's in control as much as the other evil was in control. That's what makes it so interesting.
And I always like that constant theme. We see it a lot. It's like, well, now that you have like a new power that's taken over, like you said, it's just going to be like the old one. The only way to fully liberate is to like just destroy the system itself.
End of Hunger Games.
Yeah.
The last movie, right? I don't want to get into it.
I was thinking a little bit too of oh my God, that one.
Okay, that's all right.
The movie with the train.
Train to Busan.
No, it's
Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer.
So we meet Henry and Sam. We
And
get
what are they doing?
we
What's
get
their goal?
We get their backstory.
What was their goal?
They're trying to get out of town,
Right.
just like Joel and Ellie. So Henry needs Joel. Joel needs Henry. It's a very nice sort of marriage in terms of two sides that
Yeah.
need each other to get out for their own, one to protect the other.
Uh-huh.
And they start their journey kind of tunneling and figuring their way out of this town from underground for a while.
And there was this callback that you keep mentioning, Ish.
Ish in the
Oh,
sewer
Ish.
You
community.
wanted Ish,
So-
but they just had that
Well-
drawing. So explain to us what Ish is.
Okay, so
Or
in
who.
the games, Ish in the sewer community.
Wait,
So
Ish.
Ish,
It's
yeah.
when they're in the
That painting?
preschool. When they're in the preschool, like underground in the sewer.
Yes, I remember
That
Yeah,
that.
was
that's
him.
Ish.
They cut to just like this drawing of the two people. I
the
forgot the, other one.
protectors, Danny and Ish.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So in the game, the backstory of Ish is he was a fisherman. He was out at sea when the outbreak happened. So when he came back, he set up his own little base in the sewer, and then one day he came across a family, two a man and a woman, and then a bunch of kids. So he took them in, and then he took in another protector named Danny, and they basically started this little community in the sewer. But then somebody left one of the doors open, and infected got in, and they had to move out. So in the games, you can kind of follow along. Ish does end up somewhere else, but not much is known about anybody else in the community.
Which is interesting because in the game, like I said, there's all backstory. You may find it, you may not. It's all letters.
Yeah.
That you find, and no, I liked.
And that's where Kathleen comes from. She
was part of the letter?
She's an unnamed person in one of the letters in Pittsburgh as well.
I really like how in episode 5, how they backed up the episode into episode 4 to show the battle scene
Yeah.
from Henry's point of view.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool the way they just brought that all back to kind of bring everything back to this moment, and now we're moving forward.
Yeah.
I really like that.
It happened quick too.
Yeah,
It did.
They do a good job of keeping you interested because in 4 they showed you like Sam's drawings and then like all the food cans, but you don't know exactly what happened.
It's
and then when 5 happens and they explain, okay, how did they get there? So it keeps you enticed, and I think that's a great way of like, telling the story.
They don't.
You're right. I actually forgot about that up in the attic. That was such a not attic, but that was such a great scene.
And then all the drawings is like, oh, this place is ugly, and then all the drawing, and that's what I like too. I really feel like one of the greatest strengths of the show is just the visual storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of showing, not telling.
Yeah.
Just fun.
Show and tell.
In the preschool.
It's also interesting to me how. Well, first of all, we can, I guess, spoiler alert. Anybody who's listening to this should be watching the show, I guess. So sad, so tragic, when Sam is bit and she cuts herself to thinking that because she's immune, she can share her blood with him.
Mm-hmm.
How old is she supposed to be? Sorry.
Like 13, 14.
So it makes sense that she thinks so like straightforward. Like if I give you my blood, you're gonna be okay.
I gotta tell you, watching the show, I was thinking, I hope this works.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I need this to
but
work.
deep down, you know that it's not gonna work.
You think probably not, and then but just that whole scene after where, you know,
and then he wrote, "Stay up with me all night."
It's just so touching and so sad.
Agreed.
It's so tragic for both Henry and Sam.
How would you feel if that? Would you think the show still would have had, if you watch it, still would have had the same impact if Ellie never cut her hand and did the blood? Do you think the episode would be equally as sad?
No.
Because that's new. That didn't happen in the game.
No, I think
but
think that
added another.
it also adds a whole other layer to Ellie. I think is super important.
They did it a little differently. So basically, the whole thing where they're up talking at night, that's all there. And then after they have the talk, because Sam is telling Ellie like, how are you never scared? And she's like, oh, I'm always scared. So right when she leaves, she closes the door. And you see Sam.
Travis.
Why are you walking away from your microphone?
Sam.
What are you doing down there?
Sam picks up his pants leg.
Oh,
and you see he got bit, and then Ellie wakes up in the morning, and she like, and then I think Henry's cooking, and Henry's like, oh, I let Sam sleep in, you know, he deserves it. And then Ellie's like, okay, let me go wake him up. So Ellie wakes him up, and when they open the door, they see him standing there, and the scene plays out the same, where like Henry ends up shooting himself after shooting Sam. But the way they kind of changed it, and I don't know, I still thought it was heartbreaking both times around, is there's a scene in the game where they're escaping, where they're walking around to go to their hideout.
Yeah.
And Sam wants to take a toy robot. And Henry's like, put that away. Like, what are you doing? So you find out that like right before he dies, when they're hanging out at that nighttime, Ellie's like, oh, here, I got this for you, don't tell. And they give him the toy. So then when Sam dies and they bury him, Ellie puts the toy robot on top of the grave instead of the little messenger.
Okay. Oh, really quick.
What's up?
No, I haven't.
That was a lot of detail.
How did because remember that big battle scene towards the end when he was perched up at the house? So they were all throughout. They're like, oh, there aren't any clickers here, and they mentioned, oh, that we kept them contained. How? Was that ever explained in the game?
What part are you talking about?
That wasn't true in the game, because in the game there were clickers out in the city.
Because
what scene are you talking about?
In throughout of 4 or 5, there weren't any clickers at all in KC, and then they meant was it KC?
okay, so we didn't get into this in the last
there
episode.
were at the end.
But
Right, that's why, because they were all contained within.
So the first stage of infected is the normal ones.
Yeah.
Those are runners. Those are like your basic zombie.
So the one that was making out
The
with Tess?
second, that was a runner. The second stage is the clicker.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones whose head splits open. And then the third stage,
that
I
big guy?
believe,
Is that big ass
big
guy
guy.
I
that
always
came
call it
out
a
of the
boomer.
ground?
big
Even
boy.
though it's
The
not called the
bloater.
boomer. I always call it
Not called
from
the bloater?
I always call it from
Yeah.
Left 4 Dead. I always think it's a boomer.
I think there's probably stages in between, but I haven't played the game in a while. I know there's a stalker in there somewhere.
The Stalker, I think, is Last of Us 2. In The Last of Us 2, you get some more. But no, in the first game, it's just that's what it is. The infected, it's the runners, it's the clickers, and that's it. You
bloaters.
only see those three.
Now wait
Yeah,
a minute.
yeah.
Wait a minute. So you're telling me that every single runner becomes a clicker and eventually becomes a bloater?
Yes.
Yes,
Every
and
single one of them.
if they've been,
then
it
why
takes,
do we have thousands of clickers and I've only seen one bloater?
because it takes a very, 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 very,
It's only been
very
20
long
years.
time.
It's only been 20
so
years.
here's the thing. Most infected don't make it to the clicker stage.
Why?
They die out, or they get stuck to a wall. So in the first episode, you saw the
When they were
Right,
climbing
right.
the elevator?
yeah. If an infected is near a wall, when he starts becoming a clicker, he'll start sticking to the wall, and he won't.
Because of the fungi.
Yeah.
What a
And
fun
they'll
guy.
just die out like that.
Wow.
But if they get to the clicker stage and they're kind of bulky or muscular and they're near water, that's when they become a bloater because they start
Absorbing water?
So
the
is
water
this-
basically.
I'm never playing this game.
Is this information something we will learn watching the series, or is this only
I
something you
feel
would
like
know if you were
potentially
doing the
It
game?
could, but also at the same time, it's like if you a lover of the game, you'll get it.
But-
But also, if you're not, it doesn't really matter.
But that's the thing, though, is you do get it a bit because, like I said, in the game, it kind of you get just rewarded for exploring. Like I said, like the letters you find. So I mean, not everything. Like everything, sometimes like the comparisons I make. Like remember how they kind of imply in the show that it's the yeast that's like causing people to get infected. Like and I think like even in the game, like how it's a little different with spores, but you never like directly learn or figure out like what caused it. There's like
Right.
hints, like theories.
I think I really find it interesting as we lead into episode 6, as how towards the end of episode 5 you're really seeing how Ellie is becoming way more of the aggressive character, and we're starting to see Joel become more questioning and sort of see his sort of breaking
Soften,
down.
They're
Yeah.
Not even
Switching.
Did you say soften?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess soften. I was just thinking just really becoming fearful of the
Vulnerable?
reality of what's really
Because he's starting to care for her.
really start questioning everything. Yeah, and yeah, you're right, becoming more exposed by feelings.
But even then, since the very first episode, you can see how she not likes being aggressive, but is excited to see violence in a way. Because when Joel was beating up the guard when they were trying to smuggle her out, she was just staring. She was really enticed by him beating him up. So something in her, she just. I don't know.
I think they talked about it in the podcast too, the companion podcast for the show, that it's kind of like she's drawn to the fact that Joel is acting as a protector to her, which is something she probably hasn't had before. But I definitely think you're right in that it seems like Joel's rubbing off on her in some kind of way. Like she's picking up things from him that she probably doesn't realize, and that'll be something that will come up more as the story goes on. Like she clearly looks up to him, and when we look up to someone, sometimes we emulate them, and as
Yeah.
you can see, Joel
Absolutely,
is
and for better and worse.
Joel is not the best person, so it'll be fun and interesting to see how that
But
comes
he's
about.
so brooding and heroic.
Oh,
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro.
So episode 6 starts. Well,
Oh,
I
wait,
guess we
wait.
could end episode 5 with they bury Henry and Sam. Go ahead. What?
Yeah, but before that, we get that major infected outbreak that was
Yeah,
like
yeah, we didn't
ants
finish that.
crawling
Yeah,
out of
yeah,
the
that was
sewer.
Oh, yeah,
disgusting.
it was
yeah,
almost
sorry.
like it was almost like Starship Troopers
So
or
did we-
something.
That was
do we know
crazy
why?
and so
How-
nicely timed.
Yeah.
Right at the climax of
Perfect.
Do we know how they
Kathleen getting
contain-
Henry.
So in the show, they talk about how the Fedra
Kinda like
drove
a
them into the
sinkhole.
sewers.
I felt like a truck went into a sinkhole.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're talking about how they got there in the first place.
So Fedra apparently drove them into the sewers and kept all the basically locked them all up in there.
They talk about that in episode.
Yeah, and that's how we got that bloater, because they were stuck in the sewer. So of course one of them was gonna have to turn into a bloater.
Yeah.
There's probably another one down there too, but if you notice the child clicker, that was one of the sewer community kids.
Aw. Wow.
Poor kid.
Poor kid.
Yeah. No, it's a good scene.
Yeah. Kathleen got it bad though.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was like, Kathleen. She
I
kind of
loved
just knew.
it.
She knew. Like, she was like, all right, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Well, we wanted Kathleen to get it bad.
Yeah.
I-
And her right hand man, played by the voice actor who voices Tommy in the games.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 6. Well, how did 6 start? I
6
forgot.
starts with Graham Greene, of all people. That was so cool to see Graham Greene. Do you know who Graham Greene is?
No.
I think we've all seen Bonanza.
Someone at my work
You
is.
mean Lauren Greene?
Yeah. It's a joke from Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
Graham Greene is a great actor. He's done lots of movies over the years. He was in Dances with Wolves. He's
Yeah.
been
See,
in
I just got.
many movies. And so it was like kind of cool to see him at the top of the movie. He was the guy at the beginning with his wife in the cabin.
Oh, they were a funny couple.
Why didn't you shoot him? The gun was all the way over there.
That's
That part
I
made
thought
me
that scene was
laugh.
hilarious. I
Yeah.
loved that scene.
Yeah.
You made them
Same.
soup. I mean,
It's cold
It
outside.
was so. Her attitude was so great. I loved it. She's kind
Yeah.
of all over this guy being all uptight about everything.
I didn't want to leave.
But that was a cool scene. That was one big ass rabbit they were carrying around too. I've never seen a rabbit that size. I'd run the other way if I saw rabbits that big.
Brought up memories of watching Wind River when I saw that opening.
And the thing, right? And the thing is, like I was saying at the beginning, like how episode 4 had its very Mad Max sort of vibe to it. I thought this one had a total Western vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
We're now in the West. I'm talking the old West. We're on horseback. Jackson, that town looks like an old Western town. And a very
And then we got the
Western
season
feel to it.
change too.
Yeah.
How it's not, which is also does in the games too. The seasons change, which is cool.
Oh yeah,
Sorry,
winter.
I apologize. I keep talking about I
No, it's
literally
okay.
just beat this game yesterday. I played over half the game in one sitting.
I'm halfway
I-
there. I'm
Living on a
about to
prayer.
meet Henry and Sam.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
knew though when Travis walked in before you guys got here because you were outside chopping wood from our cabin. And Travis looks at me and goes, "Oh, I could literally talk hours about Last of Us." And all I was thinking was, "Oh God, that's not good."
So why are you calling me out?
But
He was very excited before this started.
Yeah, we were able. I don't know. Somehow I found a PlayStation in this cabin.
So
Jackson.
Jackson. So the couple in the beginning tells them where to go
Because they're looking for Tommy.
because they're looking for
His
Tommy.
Joel's
Without
brother.
telling them where to go, they're
And
like,
then
"Don't go there."
Yeah, and they said, but
Yeah, they're
also
actually saying, "Yeah, you won't come back."
was it
Don't
the
go there."
River of Death?
Yeah.
Yes, love the name.
River of Death, and then they were like, oh hey, we're next to it.
The pit of despair.
But continue, Sam.
So they're at River of Death, and then they ran into a group of people who were gonna kill them. That dog scene.
Oh, that was intense.
Yes.
Well, the dog scene was great because you know she got bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
so
the
you're
dog
just
starts
waiting for that to
growling.
reveal.
Right. Yes.
Dog's growling,
And then they're
then
just hugging and licking each other.
Right.
That
and
was
So when the whole purpose of the dog was to test to see if
They're
Joel
infected.
and Ellie were infected, which
Right.
they weren't, so they passed because the dog was friendly. They took them to the commune, the Jackson.
which
what's it
is
called?
a damn.
It's
And
a
they-
commune with not communists.
it
Yeah.
was
But it really
But
is.
they're
But it
communists.
really is.
Because
it
they're
was
communists.
such a cool place. It really looked like some places I've gone to on vacation
Knott's
up in
Berry
that
Farm?
area. No, it really looked like looked like Jackson Hole kind of. Like it really did look like one of those
looked
areas.
It looked nice.
Yeah, it looked
You
cool.
know what it reminds
but
me of?
very Western. It had an
Yeah.
old
Yeah,
Western
it was
just
feel
reminded
to
me
it.
of like the Universal Studio store,
Five
the
points.
Western
That
part.
was like 5 points. Yeah, I was thinking that. Knott's Berry Farm. It was even like Westworld.
I think I did see Lucy's lunchbox down this.
What happened at Lucy's Lunchbox?
I'm not okay.
No, it's
so,
a restaurant, Knott's Berry Farm. That's all you need to know.
So then,
I don't understand.
then it's fine.
What happened at Lucy's lunchbox,
Nothing.
Travis?
Nothing. Go on.
So then they get into the town, and the first thing that Joel sees is
His brother.
Tommy.
Tommy.
Tommy Pickles.
I gotta be honest with you. When I saw him, I forgot what he even looked like from episode 1. I was like, is that what he looked like?
Really?
I had to see them hug, and then I was like, okay.
Honestly, he looks way better with the mustache.
Yeah.
Tommy.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
He's more rugged.
But yeah,
Anyways.
Tommy's married
To Maria.
with a kid on the way.
Maria.
Played by Rutina Wesley, who was in True Blood. Nobody saw True Blood.
I only saw the first episode.
She was Sookie's friend, her best friend.
You're right.
Yeah.
She worked at the restaurant.
Yeah,
or
she's
bar
so
or
good.
Yeah, I only saw the first episode.
But yeah, it's kind of really good that they introduce some sense of normalcy into the world. That way, you kind of, I get in a way, I feel like it raises the stakes because you can see that things can move forward. You can have a life in this after apocalypse setting. So it was nice to take a little bit of a break.
Well, yeah.
You know, and see how society works now in certain
Communists.
places.
Yeah, because one thing
communes.
I realized I had never seen before, like in these post-apocalyptic, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. When they're like, I'm taking you to the movies.
Oh, yeah,
And
that
they
was-
take Ellie, and they're like in the little like barn house. It's almost kind of like the Stabathon. It's the Stabathon setting from Scream.
What was the movie they were watching?
I don't know.
I was
I was
trying to
gonna
figure
ask
out.
you.
I was
I
at first I thought it was like
I
what
thought
was
it was
the,
gonna
what
get
was the
judged.
Richard Dreyfuss movie? The Goodbye Girl is what I first
Was it
thought.
black and white? I don't
No,
remember.
it wasn't. It was color.
No, it was color.
And there was there was someone named like
but
Elliot.
then I started
and,
thinking,
like,
this isn't a real movie.
okay, it has to. I think it's a
just a
fake
movie
movie.
they-
I'm sure if we go on
faked out
some
on.
forum, they'll figure it out.
I'm sure it's just because of copyright. It's probably easier just to make something
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So, fast forward.
So Ellie learns about Sarah, Joel's daughter.
Yeah.
Which leads to a charged conversation.
But before that, though, Joel tells Tommy that
Oh yeah.
Ellie's immune to the
Yeah.
bite.
He
And
took it well.
And
He took. Here's the thing, though. I feel like there's some other sort of underlying thing. I don't trust him fully, Tommy.
Mm-mm.
I don't know why. I just don't trust him.
well, you'll see.
Oh, I don't like that you did that.
You'll see.
Interesting.
You'll have to tell me later.
Keep
But,
watching.
Don't say you'll see.
You'll see. Keep watching.
Don't say you'll see.
No, he's in on it now, so it's fine.
Yeah, he's played the whole game, so now
Yeah,
he's
he's in on
an
it.
insider now. He's
But
like,
no.
oh, I know all about
Dan,
this.
you
now."
and I mentioned.
Yeah.
You mentioned in the group. What?
Nothing. Go on.
No, we're stopping now.
I'm
Go.
only pawn in Game of Life.
Go.
You just.
No, go on. I was
You've got 3 minutes and
Sit back.
34
No.
seconds.
You and I, Dan. Let's talk.
so in the group
How-
chat.
Kat, how did you feel about Joel's monologue?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, to watch that monologue and watch him sort of be just sort of begging and breaking down and just completely revealing himself and just putting himself just like right
Out
out
there?
there on the table. I thought it was not only that I think it was a great monologue and a great moment. I thought it was really a wonderful revealing Joel that we needed, a layer we needed. Or I don't know if we needed, but we got. And
Because
I
he's been
really,
so built up. Yeah.
Right. It really deepened me.
Well, even
Deepened the character and it deepened my relationship with Joel. That's a weird thing to
Even-
say.
I would
isn't it?
love to deep.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Joel.
No,
Hey,
yes, you would.
Watch
yes,
where
you
you're going
would.
there, Sam.
Well, because even two, I like because it kind of explained too, like in the beginning when they're leaving, like when they're leaving the house, and then Joel kind of stops.
What's
And
the
she's like-
difference in the game?
Can you tell
No,
us?
I'm not
Can you
ta-
tell
I'm
us
just
what
saying-
the game's like when
I'm
that
just-
happens?
can I just
Which
talk-
line of
can I
dialogue
just
was
talk
in
about
it?
the
Which line of
show?
dialogue wasn't
Can I
in
just
it?
talk about
Played
the show,
game,
please?
Travis?
Which actually
Can I
was
just
there
talk
any,
about the show,
was there
please?
any piece of dialogue
Excuse
that was
me,
not
sir. I'd
exactly the
appreciate
same?
it if you just let me talk about the show.
Well, you haven't been talking about the show. You've
I
been talking
have
about the game.
been. I've been talking about the show.
I don't think people realize that you finished the game.
So, anyways,
Did you finish it?
He's
So
holding in that
anyways-
laugh.
No, okay, wait, hold on. I heard that scene of when Joel and when Ellie confronts Joel, that's lifted from the game.
Yes, it is.
I wouldn't know.
Oh, shut up.
It is. Indeed, it is.
Word for word?
I'm
Well,
not
hold
sh-
on. Word for word?
I don't know.
Travis? He
I
just
played the
finished
game a long
it.
time ago.
He just finished it if you didn't know.
So
There are
So
certain
you-
lines
Because
in
like
there. that
Joel
are-
says, you still gotta. You need to make the choice. Is it up to? Is it gonna be Tommy or me? But in the game, he says you gotta decide instead of make a choice. Is it Tommy or me? So you have to see the
So,
incredible difference between those two
Joel
scenes.
meets with Tommy because Joel wants Tommy to lead Ellie. He wants her to take Ellie to the Firefly because Tommy used to be a Firefly. So Joel's like, you know what, Tommy, these are your people. The Firefly, can you please take her?
I'm not being rude at all, but what's this? Are you talking about the show or the game?
I'm talking about the show.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but I think also because Joel felt like he just can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
like he
I was
doesn't
about to
feel like
say.
he doesn't have the fortitude
And
anymore.
he listed all the
to
reasons
do this.
why.
And
Yeah.
Tommy's younger.
Which
he's
is
more
so sad.
Yeah, it was
And
that
then
scene. That monologue is powerful.
Ellie overhears, so she locks herself in her. Well, she goes in her room,
Confronts him.
and they have a confrontation, and then what happens?
The next morning,
It was very much like a father-daughter kind of thing, where it's like,
It was,
this is
yeah.
how it's gonna be done, and you don't have a say in it. That's that.
Yeah, without wanting to be in that position, he was
Yeah.
already putting himself in that
and,
position.
then they made up in the morning. It was like, I'm just kidding.
Because I think he realized that
His daughter.
his
His actual daughter,
that
yeah.
she actually has to make that decision. It can't be him making that decision for her.
And I loved how that scene played out.
I love how she throws the back right in
he
his
was
face.
like,
Okay,
all right, you
let's
got a
go.
picture? Like, nope, I
So
pick you.
then,
That's it, let's go.
So then Tommy tells Joel that the Fireflies are in a lab at the school in Colorado.
University of Colorado.
University of Colorado. So they start heading there, and when they get there, there's no Firefly. There's just monkeys. And,
That you love.
And they hear.
I know those monkeys are creepy.
They hear some rattle, 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 and then there's bandits.
monkeys.
There's bandits outside, and what happens?
He gets stabbed.
He gets stabbed. He gets gutted.
Oh, but before-
He breaks the guy's neck first. They jump on a horse and ride away.
It's
as
Last
the rest
Crusade.
of the what do they call them? The
Raiders.
Raiders are
Raiders.
chasing them.
But before that, you get a nice little moment where they actually started getting along, where
Oh.
he was fully wanting
Training
to
her.
train her
Well,
and
and
how
also
to
right,
hunt.
that whole journey from
Yeah.
leaving Jackson to getting to what town were they going to?
University
University
of
of
Colorado.
Colorado.
That one. There's a part where she lays her head on the back where they're riding and
Yeah.
teaching her how to shoot.
Yeah.
That was great.
And
That was a
his
great
demeanor
montage.
fully changed when he was teaching her how to shoot, where they were both joking around.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he gets stabbed. And then you find out that the next episode you won't find out if he's
and
okay.
and
Well,
then
you do
he-
if you go ahead and go online and read about it, which is what I did, because I wasn't going to let that end my week.
Yeah, so he gets stabbed, and and right after they're starting to get along.
That's the part that hurts.
But here's the thing. So yeah, he gets stabbed in the game. He falls on rebarb. It's the same thing.
He falls
They're-
out a window.
He falls out a window. It's the same thing. They're fighting raiders.
He's played it before.
No, my friend told me.
But I think it's better that they did it this way. The rebarb would have been a little too unrealistic, especially for live action. It's easier to get away with that in a video game because
Yeah.
it's the different medium allows that. But
Tap X to pull out.
yeah,
That sounded so
it's
weird.
I like
You know
that,
what I meant.
I like
really
that
don't
they,
know what you meant.
Pull
I
out.
like that they ended it here, but I also don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what's gonna happen, but
You need more.
yeah, I need more.
But
and that's the thing with these
Oh.
past 6 episodes. Every time one ends, I'm counting the days for the next episode.
And this is why I don't like the whole 1 week,
Yeah.
one
I'm
episode
so
per week.
sorry.
Here's the thing, though.
I need binge.
Well, you know what you do? You jump on Google, you type in, "Is he really dead?"
No, I just
and then
asked
you
Frank.
find a ton of articles that explain everything to you.
But
You go,
you know what's better?
Okay,
I
I can
also
breathe
have
again.
Travis to ask now because he just
No, you
finished the
don't.
game.
He
No, you
played the video
don't.
game.
Because this will be where we'll leave off. I heard rumors, I don't know if it's true, that episode 7 is...
just like the game.
No, I heard it's actually... There's rumors that it's the DLC.
What does that
Left
mean?
Behind.
It is the DLC. It's
It's-
literally called Left Behind.
Yeah, so what it is, it's not the next event that happens in the game. So after the game was released...
Wait, what does DOC mean?
DLC is
DLC.
downloadable content. So what it is after the game came out, I think a couple months later, they came out with DLC. It's like an extra chapter that gives backstory. And I found out that's what this is gonna be.
Right. I mean, did you watch the what's coming next part?
No.
Oh, well, that's what
That's
it
probably
was.
why.
It's it will explain how Ellie got infected.
Oh, right. I didn't know
and
that.
there will
I
be
didn't. Yeah.
several
You really didn't
onions
wa-
in this
Oh, we do like a
episode,
little
so
origin
prepare.
story
Several
then?
what?
We're going back.
Onions?
Yeah. See,
It's a constant thing. This freaking onion.
because
The
I'm
last
just gonna,
of onions.
I'm just gonna tell you now because in the game you don't find out Ellie's. You
Here
don't
we
find
go.
out towards the end.
Okay, let's not talk about the future of this show anymore.
No, okay, that's
Let's
it.
just end with this.
All right, Dan, what do you got to say?
Well, I think I absolutely, as I said after the first 3 episodes, I love this series. I have nothing but positive things to say about it. There's nothing in this series that I have to say except I cannot wait for episode 7. Whatever it's going to be, I'm on board and I can't wait to see it. That's all I have to say. It's a great series, period.
Well, final thoughts from someone who's played the game. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No,
Oh, you're
plot
kidding
twist.
that you played the game, or you're
no,
kidding about?
I'm kidding.
plot
What
twist?
Are you
started-
kidding about
Plot
your
twist?
final thoughts?
No,
no,
Now,
I-
hang on. I want 2 final thoughts. Your final thoughts, and then the game's final thoughts. I need both from you.
We're gonna be here
You
for
got 2
20
hours?
minutes.
No, I'm just gonna say no. I agree with what Dan's saying. Like, I feel like what this show's doing is it's the way it's adapting the material. I think is great. I think yes, it's not shot for shot everything that happens in the game.
Who cares?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying who cares, because I don't want that. I don't want shot for shot. I feel like this being an adaptation, it would be like, if you're watching the film version of a book, it's going to be different. They're going to make changes that I think service the medium better. And I feel like all the choices they've made adapting this into a show, I've really liked. I think it's great.
Because they got to bring it to life as
Yeah,
its
we
own
don't-
thing. If you're just taking a video game and turning it into a movie, which we will talk about in other podcasts, I'm sure, it doesn't really
No,
turn out too
and that's
well.
what I'm saying, is-
I
and-
can tell you.
And let me tell you this,
Foreshadowing.
Dan. If it was shot for shot, it's kind of like, what's the point? It's like
I agree.
and that's what I agree with.
Kind of like
this-
doing Psycho remake.
and yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I agree. It's doing well for the medium. We're not getting a straight adaptation. We are getting. You know what I mean?
Okay,
So,
Sam, what are your
go on.
final
I'm
thoughts?
getting interrupted by this guy.
I love you so
You
much,
love
but
me.
my God, I can't wait for this to be over because I can't keep crying every episode. But I'm here.
You're gonna cry once per episode
One
for
tear
the next
shed.
3 episodes. Yes,
Yeah.
it's onions. The onions of us.
The Shrek.
I just recently started playing the game again, so it's so freaky to see
Oh, you know who just finished it? Travis.
who.
My sound just
finished
stopped.
what?
Wait, Travis, did you
Did it
you
really
play the
just stop?
game?
Sorry, it might be.
No,
That's crazy.
is everyone else's
No,
sound
I
just
think
stuck?
because I just.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, cool.
I landed
Yeah,
on
so continue.
It's freaky seeing this adaptation be so faithful, but also making these right, at least from my perspective, the right decisions to adapt things and change things when needed. I'm completely satisfied. Even if we don't get a season 2, which we know we are, I would be happy with this season 1. It's so good.
Frank, you know what is so good? The way that you can use your economy of words and agree, and you and I can say the same thing, but I say it in like 5 minutes and you say it in 30
What the
seconds.
hell?
You know what's
man.
amazing?
I think
like-
it's amazing.
So Travis,
I think it's good. I gotta be
Travis,
more like Frank.
What's amazing to me is your explanation of that also took too many words.
You know what's amazing to me? That you don't mind your own damn business.
Okay, with that,
All right, next
we will
week.
see you next time with this very special mini-sode of Last of Us. Next time we'll be talking about
The finale.
end of the episode, the end of the season 7, 8, and 9
Episodes.
Episodes 7. All right, we're out.